I wish I was a lesbian. This is a comment that keeps appearing across social media from women who no longer want to be with men. What does it mean when more and more women begin questioning heterosexuality itself? Welcome to I Wish I Was a Lesbian. I am Angela Wild. This channel is dedicated to discussing the book I Wish I Was a Lesbian, Women's Lives Beyond Heterosexuality, released in May 26 at Spinifex Press. The book and this channel were born out of the realization that a critical mass of women are now living their heterosexual engagement and questioning the way coupling with men has been sold to us. The book is a collective answer to that question, I wish I was a lesbian, challenging the idea of a born this way sexual orientation that we are told women cannot opt out of. This channel has been set up to discuss ideas and share our experience as women who view heterosexuality as an oppressive patriarchal force. Women have not only left men, but in many cases have made the positive choice to become lesbians in a world that keeps repeating that it is impossible for us to do so. So this channel is held by myself, I'm Angela Wild, Tabata Spinster and Michelle Kerwin. And for the next sessions, I will be interviewing some of the contributors to the book. Some of these interviews will be available on YouTube or Spotify or Substack under the name I Wish I Was a Lesbian. There will be a complete link list in the description. And so to all the women who have ever written in despair, I wish I was a lesbian, but I can't be one, this space is for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about sexuality, feminism, desire, relationship, and choice. I am delighted to welcome Alima. Thank you so much for being here, Alima.
Hi, everyone.
Alima is a contributor to the book. She's a 30-year-old Russian lesbian. She is now living in Spain, and she runs one of the largest Russian-speaking online communities for lesbian feminists, as well as online feminist reading group. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm also happy to join.
And so to start, because I did a very, very short introduction for you, but I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your background, how you would like to describe your background, yourself, and what you would like the audience to know about you today.
Wow, I think it's a difficult question for me because I'm not just a lesbian feminist, I'm radical lesbian feminist, and it's pretty difficult way in Russia because LGBT is like a terrorism in Russia, and yeah, I think all feminists from post-Soviet Union countries had difficult way. I think we saw radical here in the Russia because of it. What you can tell about me more? Well, I started my small online reading club because I think I had enough experience of lesbianism to share to every woman what wanted to know more, because for me lesbianism is speaking on another language, and if you want to have more practice and start speak better, you need to have conversation with native speakers, these people who has a lot of experience.
That's great. Thank you. I love what you're saying about lesbianism as a language. There's a few women who have developed it as a culture or a universe as well. And we're going to go back to that at some point, because I think as feminists, maybe we understand lesbianism as wider than just a sexual orientation. You just touched on that. How did you become involved in feminism? How did you get into this conversation and these communities?
I think I was a feminist before I know this word, because it's obviously what women have specific experience, they have specific problem. We feel oppression from the system, from the man. And always, when I was a teenager, I just wanted to say, hey, I'm just a human like you. Don't be so rude with me. And after that, of course, we just got the access to internet, and I found what a lot of women have the same experience, and pretty similar things happened with every woman in the world. And I found a lot of radical feminist groups in Russian social media. And after that, I started read Andrea Dworkin. She was my first radical feminist in originally. And yes, I think it was impossible to miss this experience because I don't see another way without radical feminism, because it's the biggest part of my life. Because if I did not find radical feminism, I think I thought I'm crazy, because radical feminism literature just approve your experience of your life.
Yes, it validates your life, that's true. And I think for a lot of us, Andrea Dworkin was the first access to radical feminism. It was the case for me. It was one of the first I read, and it was mind-blowing. So you spoke about growing up in Russia, and I'm really interested to see how different cultural background can impact women's ability to become feminist and to become lesbians. And of course, these two things for us are very linked. What was your experience of growing up in Russia as a teenager? Our audience is going to be international and it might be very, very different for them. How was it for you?
It was pretty interesting because when I was a child, everything was pretty LGBT friendly. 20 years ago, everything was friendly. You can see just gay couple on TV. It was okay. I just was a child and I watched TV and I saw a lot of musical videos on MTV with lesbians, with gays, and it was okay. But then growing, I started to see community around became more homophobic and lesbophobic, but it was like a slowly process. When I was maybe 20, I could say, hey, I'm lesbian, maybe in the university. Okay, it could be finished by bullying, but it not was problem from government side. People could say something rude, but in the common, it was safe to say you are lesbian. And maybe 6 or 5 years ago, everything became more difficult for lesbians because they created new rules. You can get the problem with police if you just say in the internet you are lesbian. You don't need to say something, hey, be a lesbian, everybody be a lesbian. No, you just can say I am a lesbian, and it's enough to get trouble.
Okay.
So it's just changed all of my life in Russia. Just slowly became worst.
And so my next question naturally is that why you left? Because now you live in a European country. Was it part of the decision to leave? Because clearly you say it was safe and then it became quite quickly much worse. What were your reasons for leaving?
I have a lot of points to leave Russia, but I wanted to go to Europe maybe 10 years ago, before everything started became bad. How it was from TV shows. Also, I know what in Europe lesbians have more human rights, because in Russia you never had access to human rights. Like, you cannot, marriage is not the most important, but you have a lot of just simple things you cannot to do if you're a lesbian. And I thought, okay, maybe I wanna get more human rights, but last 5 years it became dangerous. It's different than you have motivation. I just wanna live better a little bit, to have a little bit more rights in the government, maybe. But it's another case when you afraid And last, maybe 6 years ago, I started to be afraid. And how you know about Ukrainian war, the Russian just started war, and it was so awful because it was just I thought in this moment, oh my God, I have no time to wait. I should go away because it's understandable. Also, it was awful because I was so worried about Ukrainian women, and it was so shocked for me. And I just wanted today or never. I should go away. And yeah, I went to Georgia because of it.
And now you are in Spain. I hope that you are feeling safer now, and I'm glad
Much.
you found your way to safety. When I read your text the first time, it really struck me that you seem to have come out as a lesbian really early. And now it makes sense if you say that at the time it was fairly safe to do so. Many would call you a gold star lesbian because you were so young when you came out, and you fit the definition. I don't endorse the term, but you fit. What were your parents' reaction of you being such a young lesbian?
It was funny because I said my mother when I just was pretty young, and she was so shocked, and she called my grandma. I said, "Oh my God, she loves girls," and my granny said something like, "Oh my God, what different boys, girls? That's okay. Don't worry, she's just too young." And my granny said it's okay, and my mother accepted it. She thought, "I just teenager. It's okay. Maybe later it will change." She just said, okay, you will not get pregnant too early. It's okay. Because for her, it was not enough serious. But maybe when I was 20, she thought, okay, maybe it's serious. And it take a long time, but she accepted me, and it was everything is okay. And also my grandpa just looks like he did not know. My father also, oh, I did not know, I didn't understand. Everybody knows, of course, but one part of my family just looks like, oh, I don't know. And my sister and my brother, it's okay for them. So I have good relationship with all of my family right now.
This is great. This is really great. So that support from your family and your mother. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think your experience in the lesbians that I know who came out so early is quite unusual. Maybe it's a generational thing. I don't want to generalize.
No, I don't know how to say. Maybe it's not nothing unusual for me. I understand it's too early. I also got my first sexual experiences too early. How I think it may be 30 years. I was 30 years. The first of all, the main reason why I started so early, I thought to be lesbian, it means to have sex with girls. That's reason. So if you not practice, you're not a true lesbian. And I had these thoughts when I was small because I did not have any ways to know how it should be. And also everybody said, you lesbian if you have sex with girls, because I did not know another way to understand lesbianism. So I tried to practice a lot. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Now I understand it's crazy, but then I was so young, I thought, that's good point. I understand how to be lesbian.
Yeah, I suppose that's the mainstream definition is exactly what you describe. A lesbian is a woman who has sex with women. But what I found unusual is your family support or just kind of not really wanting to be in confrontation. Because when I look into the book, and obviously in my life and the lesbian that I know around me, the women who came out as girls very often had a very, very seriously bad experience. Some of them were rejected by their family, or some of them were chucked out of like removed from home.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, I'm pretty like a girl. I know because it's still amazing for me. My mother, my grandmother, they just loved me, and that's all. Because a lot of girls, lesbian girls are around me, they just was in the closet all their life. Sometimes I tell someone what I don't have problem with my family in Russia, everybody just shocked. Wow, it's amazing. It's so rare case.
I was really surprised to hear that. What I was going to say is that a lot of the women who have had bad experiences early, they kind of develop a negative view of what it's like to be a lesbian because they were punished, because they came out and then they had this terrible experience of being rejected or being bullied. And some of these lesbians sometimes, and it's the case for some of the women who wrote in the book, leave lesbianism after a while because the hatred is too much, because the oppression is too much. So
Yes.
I think the early experience are really crucial in the way that we can think of ourselves in the future as lesbians. Would you say that your positive experience, like relative positive experience in your family, what impact did it have on you in the long term? How do you feel about lesbianism now? Did you ever think, oh God, I wish I was straight?
I know I have experience, like I see like my ex-girlfriend became straight, and when she was younger, she just said, "Hey, I hate men, they awful, ugly, la la la," and everything. But nobody supported her in her family, and the mostly part of her friends was a man. So in the end, it's logically she became a straight. Oh, okay, not straight. She said, okay, maybe bisexual, maybe straight or something like that. But yeah, I thought if you was lesbian in 30 years, in a 20 years, you can just be crushed by people around you. You just cannot fight anymore. Maybe you just believe you're not a lesbian. And yeah, I think it's could be typical way for early lesbians. And maybe you know this mythology about, oh, you lesbian because you're too young, then you became adult. It's just and it just end. You will love men. Yeah.
There's a series of myths, like you were describing, it's just a phase, you haven't met the right man. There's like all these sentences that we receive all the time, as in, lesbianism is not real, you cannot be a lesbian. I think all of us have heard that, regardless of how we become or we were lesbians early, we've all received it somewhere or another. No, you can't be a lesbian, you are not a lesbian. And so, really, out of that, what I think the next point I wanted to talk about is how we understand sexuality, sexual orientation. And I know there's a lot of debate around the idea of being born this way, whether we are born heterosexual or lesbian or bisexual. I was wondering what your perspective on that was and your particular experience of that was as well.
First of all, I think burned with away theory, it's not for me. Because in my life, I see a lot of cases when lesbians became straight, and also I saw a lot of happy cases when straight and bisexual women became lesbian, and they still lesbian after a lot of years. Yeah, because that's I see. Okay, everybody can say it. Oh, they just bisexual, but every woman what I know, and she said, okay, I'm pretty sure in my orientation. In this moment, they believed in their feelings, and I believed them. If they said I'm changed, they just can use born this way vocabulary and say something like, I understand what I was lesbian all of my life. I think in the common difference is just words, because everybody see how women can change in their life. And also for me, sexual orientation, it's more than just want sex, this type of people. It's strange for me because in my life, women is the most important part of my life. I pay all my attention to women, and my lesbianism is not only a sexual practice.
So if I go back to what you were saying, do you see sexuality as innate and immutable, something that you are born with and that cannot change? And what you're telling me is, well, I've seen women change all the time, and the way that they are telling that story is just going back and rewriting it in a way. I was always like that, and there is no way of knowing, really, is it?
Yeah, they just when you have social optics on your experience. For example, I understand what all background in my life uh, made everything to make me a lesbian. Now I understand. But it depends on what type of views you have in this moment. And yeah, some years ago I thought I born this way, but then I started to research, to read the lesbian feminist books, to discuss experience of and women about their orientation. I understand it's more difficult because born this way theory, it's easiest way. The reason you just need to think about it at all. You just say, okay, I'm lesbian, and that's it. You don't need to think about it a lot. It's like a point you can show in every conflict. For example, they say, hey, you should love men. You just, oh my God, created me like this. You should not do it with me because I was created like this. Yeah. So it's important what views you have.
So you think that it's something somehow used as a strategy to have people accept you as a lesbian, to you can't change me because I was born this way.
Okay, I understand your question. Yes, when I was biological lesbian, I used this thing like a weapon. Yes, I born this way. You cannot do anything with me. But later I understand that conservative guys, they don't care. Biological, political, they just want to make you straight. That's all. And it's not help you. But I understand what my political lesbianism position can help a lot of women. Not only me, because born this way, it helps maybe 5% women in the world, yes, what said, hey, I'm born this way lesbian. But political lesbianism and social orientation, it can help every woman in some, of course, in some background and some context specific for this.
So you believe that given a good context, any woman could potentially be a lesbian?
Yes, I believe it. So if you have a lot of women around you and this woman loves you and you love this woman, you can just say it. It's not romantic love. You just have a lot of communication, contacts with these women, and you feel free to love women. It can be changed. Of course, it's not something like you just choose the item in the shop. It's another way. It's just a long, long way where you have the specific context, the right people, and maybe right literature, and maybe you can find because to love the woman is naturally. It's not something what you should to create. It's just I believe you have it inside you what you can love the woman because love myself, love yourself.
It's really beautiful what you're saying. I really hearing it. Yes, it makes sense that if you love yourself as a woman, you should also love other women, or there will be a woman that you would love in that way. And I also completely agree with what you're saying about it's not when we say choose lesbianism, it's not like choosing an item in the shop. Yes. I think what sometimes is misunderstood is the fact that, as you described, there is a process behind it that for some of us means, as you mentioned, literature means consciousness raising with other women, means discussing these ideas, being able and free to discuss these ideas. And in the context of today, it's very, very hard to do that because there is no real space, or not a lot of them, where we can discuss that without being shouted at that, no, it is not possible. When what makes me laugh really is that we've done it, so we know it's possible. But I come from a place where I was heterosexual, and you come from a different place because your starting point was different. But what I wanted to ask you is, what was the process of shifting from being a woman who believed in the born this way theory to believing in political lesbianism? What happened, and how did you feel about that change? How do you feel about it now?
Yes, I started from conflicts with political lesbians. Then I first found the literature, books, articles, and tweets. I was shocked. Oh my God, it's so offensive to me. I lived this life. I had a lot of trouble with people because of my sexual orientation. I had a so difficult experience outside my family, in the school, in the university, at work. It was a sexual harassment because of lesbianism. It was so, and then I thought it's offensive. And then I started conflicts. We argued a lot. I understood maybe after a year. I maybe spent a year to understand the main idea. 1 year of conflicts and readings. All women have the similar experience. All these political lesbians also had a lot of troubles. This way, their way was difficult for them. But also, I found out they love women like me. I did not feel the difference. I feel like they like the same with me. For example, when you speak born this way bisexual, I feel difference very much because it's another way to thinking and I see they another one. But these political lesbians, I understand we so similar. So I changed my views because I read a lot, I conflicted a lot, and I have contact with a lot of real women who has this experience. And they just gave me a views to research my experience again, feel everything again, and to just another point to see my experience.
To understand your experience from another perspective.
Point of view, yes,
Point of view.
perspective.
Yes, I really like what you're saying, and I think one of the starting point of the book really is also that I don't believe we know things unless we confront them with the opposite view. And what I was really hoping with the book is that women would be curious about it. I'm really not bothered if women agree or disagree. What I want is that women read it and make up their mind and be confronted with these ideas because they are not mainstream, because they are difficult to get by, because they are silenced. And it's really important to me that every woman is confronted with the idea that if they wanted to, they could be lesbians. But there's also something called compulsory heterosexuality. And
Yes.
to me, in a way, Born This Way is part of that compulsory heterosexuality. But I wanted to ask you, as a lesbian who has thought a lot about all these things, how you would talk about compulsory sexuality, how you define it to somebody who's never heard of it. What is it? How does it work? How do you see it?
I don't know no one lesbian who did not have a compulsive heterosexuality, born this way or political, no matter. Because it's not only when you, oh my God, I just want sex with men. No, it's all your favorite celebrities. You can be, for example, a lot of lesbians like that, born this way, but they just read boy loves romantic stories. They just prefer men celebrities. And they just, oh, I love him. He's so cute guy, my favorite actor. But she's, of course, in her life, she said she's a lesbian. She loves only women. It's clear, born this way. But also, I think it's part of compulsive heterosexuality. It's to pay all your attention in the culture and social part when you pay all your attention to men. For example, okay, I have my girlfriend, we have dates and we maybe have sex, but outside this couple time, I spend all my time to heterosexual culture, man culture, and everything. It's also compulsive heterosexuality. Also, I think the top, bottom, butch femme, the position with difference between women. It's also the way how compulsive heterosexuality can be acting. I don't know how to say another way. We have to act like a hetero woman, something like that. You can never have a really sexual interest to men, but yeah, you still are affected by heteronormativity and yeah, everything.
Yes, the heterosexual dynamic are still present.
Yes.
There's often this idea around, a lot of women will talk about compulsory heterosexuality, but this idea that compulsory heterosexuality really, in fact, only affects lesbians.
No, I think we living in the same system. Everybody lives here, and we're getting all this context, all this content, media, everything. So we have the same context. So I think we get a lot of, how to say, heterosexual propaganda. I'm sorry.
Well, that's exactly what it is, yes.
Yes. Because when you a child, you just started from Disney princesses. Every princess had a prince, and everything. It's so normal for you. So you did not know. Maybe all these conservative politics worried about children. I think they have the reason. They spend a lot of money. They do a lot to save the children because maybe they know if you show the idea you can love everybody you want, it can maybe change the culture at all.
Yes, I like this idea that conservative men say that lesbianism destroys society. It's true. What society are they talking about? Absolutely. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Certainly, we are not part of patriarchal society because we are opting out of compulsory heterosexuality. And I can see that it's a real threat to them. Who is going to cook for them and who is going to wash their socks and, and who's going to have sex with them if we had the choice. And I wanted to kind of go a little bit on the same topic, but a little bit different.
Mhm.
People argue that political lesbianism is bad because it is said it is similar to conversion therapy. It's conversion therapy, but on the other side. How do you feel about this? How do you respond to that?
First of all, these people, they don't know what is conversion therapy at all. First of all, it's violence. It's real, I don't know how to say. For example, it should be something awful and aggressive. It's not like to reading books or to have a conflict in a Twitter. It's something pretty physically and psychology awful for you. And I think it's offensive to people who got conversion therapy to say what political lesbianism is the same, because it's not. Conversion therapy is something what really can kill you, for example, because yeah, it's really aggressive and cruel thing. What I think. Yeah.
And but there
But
are some women who have gone through conversion therapy and still say that. Interesting, isn't it? Because I think I agree with you that on one side you've got conversion therapy, which is a system that is systematic, and in a way, compulsory heterosexuality is that patriarchy.
But it's another way. Compulsive heterosexuality, it's something, why it's work.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you have no another context. If you don't know about another way, you cannot choose it. So you just have heterosexual culture context, and you cannot understand, because if you don't know the idea, you cannot do something else without idea.
So, as we said, as a gold star lesbian, as a lesbian who came out really, really young, today, does political lesbianism feel threatening to you? And what would you say to a lesbian who believes she was born this way, who really strongly believe in the born this way ID, and feels threatened by political lesbianism? What would you say to her?
You shouldn't afraid, because conservative politics want to make you straight anyway. It's no matter what you say. But if you choose political way, you will find a lot of new friends, and world around you become more happy, and you will have a lot of lesbian around you. I think it's the best way. Big lesbian community, bigger than you can wish. You can be free between these lesbians, and that's all. And also, it's maybe strange to say it, but you can help a lot of women around you. Every year, a straight friend who had awful experience in their life with their heterosexuality should not be afraid, because all bad things what can happen, they happened already.
So if I understand what you're saying, for you, being a lesbian is somehow a choice. You're happy to be a lesbian. It is not. If you had the opportunity to be straight, would you rather be straight, or would you rather be a lesbian?
Oh my gosh, I don't know who wants to be straight. It's a strange question to me. Of course, I want to be lesbian all of my life. It's reason why I want to share lesbianism with every woman. I know it's difficult to be a lesbian because for freedom you need pay the price for the freedom, but it's freedom. It's still better when be straight.
And so, to finish, what would you say to these women who say that they want to be lesbian, they wish they were lesbian, but they feel that they can't? What would you say to them?
I think they should start for the small steps. Maybe they can start to find new friends, new women friends in their around. Just try to pay their attention to women and to see deeply their personalities, and also, how I said, you need a context and you just need to start from small steps. That's all. And just don't waiting to change in a couple of years or something like that. You will feel better. Even you will be separatist. It's enough. You will be much happier. Because a lot of my friends, for example, hey, I'm not feel lesbian. Yes, I became separatist, and they feel much better. And we also feel much free.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's something that really reflects my experience. I know many women who have done that, who years ago, before the 4B and the movement to dissent men, did that. They left men and they spend a lot more time in women's circle and women in feminist circles. And some of them then, after years, discovered that they fell in love with a woman. And it would not have been possible if they had not done these first steps of having a more separatist life as much as we can. And where I'm really hopeful is that there's a lot of talk on social media about women dissentering men, being really critical, not only about men in the way they live, but about patriarchy, like understanding much more about plenty of aspects of patriarchy that they haven't considered. In a way, the level of horror, the sexual crime that are happening are helping women to see. For the first time in a long time, I think we are very confronted to the reality of male violence, and a lot of women see it. And I think the very first step, like you say, is to dissent a man. And I wanted to also get back to this point of paying attention to your women friend. That reminds me of Marilyn Fry. I don't know if you came across her, if you read her. She's a wonderful writer, and she's got a text called To Be and To Be Seen, where in it she explained that only lesbians really see women as full human beings.
Yes.
Because women who are in heterosexuality focus on men because survival, and men actually don't really look at women. They don't see us as human. And that I think what you describe is that just really paying attention to the women around you and paying attention to yourself as a woman as well.
Yes.
So we are at the end of our conversation. I would like to know if there's anything you'd like to, like one last word, things you would like to say before we go.
Yes, it's about experience of political lesbianism, and first steps is the most important thing. It's not force yourself, not force yourself. Yeah, just be free to have friendship with women, and that's enough.
Thank you so much. Well, thanks for sharing your perspective, Alima. These are complex and sensitive topics, and I really appreciate how you opened up and took the time to develop your ideas. And that's a wrap for us today. So thanks everybody for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you enjoy the episode, don't forget to subscribe, to leave a review, to share it with a woman that you like or love or is curious about this. And if you've got any questions or thoughts about today's episode, about the conversation that Alima and I had, we'd love to hear from you. So drop a comment and reach out on social media. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye bye.